إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته and welcome to our fiqh hour, first in the new post Ramadan period. So we are here, inshallah, on the 6th of Shawwal, soon to be the 7th of Shawwal. And we're going to touch upon this, inshallah, this whole kind of meltdown that people were having on WhatsApp about the Moroccan moon. Was it seen? Was it not seen? All this malarkey, oh, how is this any different than the Saudi Arabia announcement and things of that nature? We'll put all that to bed, inshallah. I think there's too many people who understand very little and speak too much. But that said, we'll get to that. But we're going to tackle a few of the questions first that have come on the groups, inshallah. I am obviously aware that Maghrib, for me anyway, as the world goes around me, Maghrib for me is in about 30 odd minutes, 35, 36 minutes time, inshallah. So I aim to finish before then. But if it goes over by 5-10 minutes, then forgive me, inshallah. Okay, let's make a start. Let's go to the questions first. And what we'll do is we'll go to the ladies group first, inshallah. As I say, ladies first. I don't believe there's actually is. I just about to say I don't believe there's any questions on here, but there is. When was the last one? Moon sighting. That was moon sighting. So fiqh hour. Okay, so fiqh hour was there. And I don't believe there were any questions up until we got to here. And the first question is here. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have a question related to removing tattoos. If a person lived like a non-Muslim and have tattoos regardless if revert or born Muslim, and they found their way back or reverted, they got the tattoos before reverting, do they have to remove the tattoos? Also, the person was born Muslim but lost the deen and lived their life like a non-Muslim and then returned back to Allah, are their wrongdoings in the case of tattoos also forgiven, like when someone reverts? Jazakallahu khairan. So obviously, when a person has tattooed their body, they should try their utmost to see if they can be removed. If they can't be removed, then it's or it's difficult to remove, or it's excessive pain to be removed. Then they may carry on living with them. The only thing is, obviously, it depends what those tattoos say. Usually tattoos do say things which are inappropriate. So one would have to look at that. But in short, a person should try their utmost to remove their tattoos and most definitely have them covered in public. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. I'm a German law student from Germany. That's what I would expect you to be from. To take part in the final exams and become a certified lawyer, we have to go through a training. And for that, I have to sign a paper which states, I declare that I do not question the fundamental values of the Constitution and do not aim to impair or even abolish the free and democratic order. I am not a member of any organization that aims to impair or even abolish the free and democratic order. Is that allowed for me to sign? Barakallahu feekum. Okay, so let me read that again. I declare that I do not question the fundamental values of the Constitution and do not aim to impair or even abolish the free and democratic order. I am not a member of any organization that aims to impair or even abolish the free and democratic order. So my understanding of that statement is obviously that you are not going to challenge or impair or abolish the values of the Constitution or the democratic order, which the Sharia doesn't necessarily request you to do so. So that's absolutely fine. Okay, that's the ladies' question answered. Let's jump on to the gents group. And let's see what we have here before we get on to the topical one of the Moroccan moon sighting. Fiqh Hour Live. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. A revert sister asked this question. So we've got 3 questions from potential revert sisters. I feel very sympathetic towards animals. I don't want anyone to die or suffer for my pleasure. So for a long time now, I have not been eating meat and only ethical eggs and dairy. But I've recently seen a video and it's making me realize actual ethnic animal products don't exist. Is it ethnic or ethic? Anyway, I don't wish to participate in any suffering caused on animals. I don't know how I will do this for the Eid where we have to sacrifice an animal. I asked if she acknowledges it's halal to eat meat, and she is happy with Allah's law, and she said yes. She is Hanafi in fiqh. Is there any way for her not to do the wajib qurbani and get a fatwa not to do it? Okay, so firstly, the sister says that I feel very sympathetic towards animals. I don't want anyone to die or suffer for my pleasure. When we slaughter animals for Eid al-Adha, they are not for our pleasure. They are for the sake of Allah. And the food or the animal that we give, if she doesn't want to consume it, she can give that to a soup kitchen and they can distribute amongst the poor. So she is not. So therefore, it's not a problem for her because this is not for her pleasure at all. So that's the first thing. Secondly, these are Allah's animals. Allah created these animals. And if Allah is the being that's telling us to slaughter them, then we slaughter them. And animals all go through pain. They all go through pain when they are attacked or when they die or anything of that nature. So animal is naturally going to go through pain, like humans go through pain. And therefore, this is a less painful method because the slaughter is an animal which dies through natural causes, so to speak, will go through significant pain. Okay, if an animal is gored by another animal, it could take days, if not a week or so, a couple of weeks for it to die in extreme pain. But the slaughtering of an animal is done very swiftly with a very sharp blade, and the animal suffers nothing whatsoever. So in fact, you are being merciful by doing this. So I hope that's clear. Salam of Sab, inshallah, hope you're well and you had a good Eid. Wa alaikum salam, alhamdulillah, all was good. In regards to Qāḍī Salah that need to be prayed in sequence for a person who is what's referred to as Sahib Tartib, what should one do if they remember in the current Salah that they have a Qāḍī remaining? For example, they have missed Fajr and are currently reading Dhuhr or praying Dhuhr on their own or with a Jama'ah, and then they remember mid-Dhuhr Salah. Should they complete their Dhuhr Salah and then perform their Fajr, or should they break their Dhuhr Salah and pray their Fajr Qāḍī first and then their Dhuhr Salah? In this scenario, if mid-prayer you remember that you've missed Fajr and you are, as the chap describes him, Sahibu Tartib, then in that case, what you would do is you would break your Dhuhr and you would pray your Fajr and then you would pray your Dhuhr afterwards, okay? In this circumstance, because this person is Sahibu Tartib. Okay, there was a question, but it's disappeared. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mufti, I hope you are in good health. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi. Alhamdulillah, all is good. Barakallahu feek. I wanted to seek a detailed guidance regarding a zakah matter and would appreciate if you could kindly elaborate on the principles involved. There is an individual who is currently in debt of approximately £7,000. The debt arose from funds that were entrusted to him, amana, which was subsequently used and now need to be repaid. I have zakat funds available and wanted to ask, is it permissible to give zakat to such an individual to assist in clearing this debt? Yes. Number two, given that zakat requires tamlik, transfer of ownership, meaning transfer of ownership from the person who possesses the money to the person you're giving it to, how can the giver ensure that the funds are actually used to repay the debt rather than potentially being misused? Well, technically speaking, the zakat giver is not responsible for how that money is used, as long as the person has no record of using it in a negative way. He may just give that to him. Is it permissible with the recipient's consent for the zakat to be used directly to settle the debt, example, paying the creditor, while still fulfilling the requirement of tamlik? Would zakat be fulfilled if the debt is paid without telling the debtor as part of a zakat payment? Would zakat be fulfilled? How can I go about this? I'll come back to question 3. Question 4. Are there any valid Shari'i mechanisms, allowances, or loopholes within fiqh that allow the donor to structure the payment in a way that safeguards the zakah from misuse? Number 5. In cases where there is a genuine concern about the individual's financial responsibility, is it permissible to channel the zakat through a more reliable or responsible person on their behalf, or to place conditions in any form? I would be grateful if you could expand on the rulings, wisdom, and the best practical approach in such situations so that the zakah is both valid and used effectively. Jazakumullah khairan for your time and guidance. Barakallahu feek. Okay. So it seems as this person wants to help this other person who is in debt. And this person, person A, wishes to give their zakat to person B in order that they come out of this debt situation. However, person A is a bit concerned that person B may not use it to pay his debt off, but rather use it and have a bit of a party. Okay. And they use it on food or whatever. Well, not like normal food, but, excessive food and, go out to restaurants and just burn the cash. So, yes, there is a way, but obviously he's concerned about the fact that the person that he wishes to give the zakat to has to become the owner of that zakat, meaning he can't not make him the owner. So how does he make him the owner without that chap spending it in an appropriate way? So the way he does it is how he described it in question number 3. What he would do is he would seek permission from the person he's going to give the zakat to and say to him, brother AB, you are mustahiq of zakat. You are in debt. You have no assets of your own, and you are in deep debt. I wish to help you with your debt. So do you give me permission to give zakat money I was going to give to you to pay your creditor and clear your debt? If that person says, yes, I give you permission to do that, now that person can do that and clear it. The only issue which comes up, okay, the only issue which comes up is that you're becoming the wakil of the giver of zakat as well as the giver of zakat. So that's where the problem comes, because you are the giver of zakat and now the chap is making you wakil to distribute that zakat on his behalf. So if you can get a third party involved, that would be better. Okay, so you give the zakat to a third party. That third party says, I have some zakat to give you. However, the person who's giving me this zakat wants to clear your debt rather than give it to you directly. Do you give me permission to give it to your creditor? If that person then says, yes, I give you permission to give it to my creditor, then that person can go. So to make this cleaner, what you would have is you've got the zakat giver, A, you've got the zakat recipient, B, and now you would bring a person C into the scenario. Person C now becomes the wakil of the zakat giver. So person C, A gives to C and says, I want you to clear the debt for person B. C asks person B, then I have some zakat given to me and the person wishes to clear your debt. So do you give me permission to give your zakat in order to clear your debt? He would have to give permission. If he does not give permission, then this person can take this zakat back or tell person C, give it to somebody else. Okay, because he still hasn't, he's not given up ownership of his money yet. It's only when the person, the recipient, receives it, does he give up ownership of the money. So that would be the best way. Salams, is adoption allowed in Islam and how does it work with inheritance? If you can provide details. How can I message you personally? I tend not to allow people to message personally because otherwise, my phone just rings all day. I get no chance to do anything else. As you can imagine, what could happen? So what I do suggest is that if you wish to, you can email. But the easy option really is if you go to our Markaz al-Ifta wal Qāḍī group, the questions I'm reading off here now, and here your number or your identity is concealed, so nobody knows who you are, and you can place your questions on there directly. And when you place your questions on there directly, then like I'm reading them out now, I will read them out. And that is the easier option. As I said, you can email, but email, it just takes a lot longer. I tend not to, look into emails because, as you can imagine, I have a crazy schedule. Salam, is adoption allowed in Islam? Yes, adoption is allowed in Islam. How does it work with inheritance? It doesn't work with inheritance, meaning that the children don't inherit that you have adopted because they're not your real children. What they can do is you can, out of a third of your wealth, you can choose to set some aside for them. Because you have a wasiyah. So you may choose out of the third of the wealth that you wish to give something to them, and you may do so. But they do not, the Quran does not give them automatic inheritance rights. Neither does the Sunnah. So rather, the Quran and the Sunnah deal with blood relatives, either blood through parentage or through marriage. Okay, that's how it works. So relationship are either through birth, so to speak, through the womb, or through blood ties through marriage. Okay, other than that, there is no other inheritance that's been instructed. There are two girls. These two girls keep coming up. I know this question has come up several times. There are two girls whose mother hardly spends on them. I heard that the first time round. And spends on things that would be towards things that are haram. It's to the point where the two daughters don't have clothing that properly covers their aura. Their mum gets money from a charity for her two daughters. Is it permissible for them to take the money behind their mother's back to purchase clothing for their basic needs? You asked this question before, and I answered it before, and now you're asking it again. So I will answer again. No, I cannot give permission for children to steal from their mother. I cannot give permission for that. Rather, what should happen is that the children should reach out to somebody else. Clearly, they're reaching out to you, or you know. How do you know that these two girls are in this situation? So you know about their situation. So if you know about their situation, then you need to get some ulama involved, which I know you are an alim. You need to get ulama involved, and this matter needs to be dealt with, because how long are they going to steal for? And if the mother finds out that they're stealing, what if she gets angry? So this is not a solution. You need to find a solution, brother. Okay, that answers that. Right, so whilst we're here, I'm going to try this technique out because I wanted to share my screen the last time round and I couldn't do it. And it's about the matter of the Moroccan moon sighting scenario. Okay, so let me see if I can share this. Share my screen. Google allow. Window. There we go. Share. Can you see that? Tell me if you can see that. I'll be impressed if you can see that. Oh, you can see that. Subhanallah. Somebody type a message if you can see that. Wow, I never knew this could do this. Subhanallah. Now, if I move this, can you see it when I move it? Oh, my goodness. I'm amazed. MashaAllah. Okay. This is a new feature I did not know about. I'm absolutely besides myself. I'm like a little child who just learned how to open the door. Subhanallah. Brilliant. Okay. Right. I'm going to cover the screen so I can't see you guys now putting any questions up because I'm looking at my document. So if there's a problem, chaps, just WhatsApp me. I'm Murtaza Osman. So there was a moon sighting declaration. We had Ramadan coming to the end. Those who follow the Saudiya, obviously, they knew already from Wednesday evening that Eid is going to be on Friday. They knew that because, unfortunately, Saudiya had declared too early. They're according to their criteria, that if the moon has been born, then that's enough. And if we get a positive sighting, we will accept that. Unfortunately, that is very flawed thinking, and I will be able to demonstrate in here. So when they had made a declaration, they started Ramadan before anybody else. Okay. Most people then started at least a day after, if not 2 days after. The Fiji Islands started 2 days after the Saudis have started. And there should never be a 48-hour difference, because that's just crazy. How can there be a 48 hours difference? It just makes no sense. So basically, somebody's got it wrong. And the view is that obviously the Saudis get it wrong because unfortunately they're very quick to make announcements. So those who went by local and then by extension regional had started a day after Saudi's premature declaration. When Ramadan was coming to the end, unfortunately, people look at these projection charts, predictability curves, UPVs, the Hilal predictability curves, and they see them as facts. They are not facts. I've given many lectures on this platform, on YouTube, and on various other platforms, and to various organizations, and during my teaching, that these are not facts. These are what they say, predictability. It's a prediction. Predictions don't always work out right. Okay, how many predictions have you made about life and they haven't come out like the way they're supposed to? Okay, so they're predictions. So there was a prediction made that, we shouldn't be able to sight in the UK, or we shouldn't be able to sight in Morocco, unless we get perfect conditions. And we may need assisted eyes, use of binoculars or telescopes. That was the view. Therefore, these big alamas, mashallah, on WhatsApp, all they do is to sit on WhatsApp. You can tell there's a little bit of frustration in my voice. All they do is sit on WhatsApp and just buzz. Thumb scholars. They're just sending things around with their thumbs with no akal being used at all. And then, obviously, a positive sighting came. So instead of, welcoming a positive sighting, which is what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to celebrate Shawwal, alhamdulillah, They're spreading doubt and confusion amongst the masses. Okay, doubt and confusion. Oh no, Morocco's made a mistake as well. Oh God, what are we going to do? Da 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 da. Who says they have? Okay, who says? Now I wrote this. When did I write this? I wrote this in oh goodness me, 1439. So this was about 7-8 years ago. 2018, about 8 years ago. Okay, I wrote this in 2018, but people don't read things, do they? So I wrote this in 2018, and this was based upon imkani ru'ya and astronomical data. Right? I'm not going to bore you with the technicalities. It's available on WIFAQ's website. Right? If you go to Wifaq Ulama's website, what I did was I analyzed, would you believe, all the astronomical data used to make algorithms that make the predictability curves. Yes, I know. My background, in case you don't know, is in science. Okay, I'm a qualified chemist. I spent in the research department. I spent many a year analyzing, researching, and bringing new products and processes to the market. And data analysis is absolutely essential. Where you get data and you analyze data, is there credible change, between one product and another product, and all the rest of it. Okay, so I went through all, and as I said, I'm not going to bore you. So there's a Dr. Bernard Yallop, who developed what's called the Yallop criteria. It was named after him. This is his criteria. If you notice, these are the number of recordings, sightings at each level. Obviously, when it's A, easily visible, you expect lots of sightings. We have lots of sightings. And then B, when it gets a little bit difficult, there's 68 sightings, 26, 14, 4, and 17 sightings. Okay. In D, which is we'll need optical aid to find the crescent. Okay. There were 2 visible with unassisted eyes. So even though it's saying that you will need optical aid to find the crescent, it says there you will need optical aid in black and white. You will need, well, not black and white, black and blue. You will need optical. In there are 2 data points, 14 records. There were 2 which were visible with unassisted eye. Entry number 44 and entry number 278. However, entry number 44 was a morning sighting. So therefore, in band D, he included a sighting record number, entry point number 278, which he clearly says part of his algorithm is you will need optical aid, that this was sighted without optical aid. And there it is. It's record number 278. It was a 15-hour-old moon, okay, which is very young, 38 minutes lag time, and an ARCL of 8.5. Remember these values, okay? We cannot see you screen PowerPoint. I thought you could. You can't see it anymore. Well, that's a shame. There was me getting excited, and you can't see it anymore. Oh, it's disappeared. Okay, let me try that again. Yeah, you're supposed to be seeing the PowerPoint all the time, but you need to WhatsApp me because I can't see this. So WhatsApp me. Okay, I'll do it again. Window. All right. Every time it disappears, I think there might be a small duration. So now I'm going to cover the screen, so I can't see the screen. I'm just seeing my text. So if it disappears, please WhatsApp. There's no point. Has it gone again? Yeah, it keeps going now. Oh, man. We were on a good thing there, weren't we? You see, Nazar aa gaya. All right. Window. There you go. Share. Okay. So let me know when it disappears. So that entry point, 278, the age of the moon is 14 hours, 38 minutes, and this was by unassisted eye, as recorded by Dr. Bernard Yallo, who is the former superintendent of the HMNO, right? He's the Dada of the Nautical Almanac Office, where we get all our data from, okay? Where we get all our data from. All right, moving on. Next, and that's the nice, so we have a chap called Shawwal, realized how to develop these predictability curves. This is all his research. I'm not going to bore you with this. All right, but he made a criteria. This is his derivation of the criteria. We then have Oda, who made his criteria. and we just put one against the other. Auda, if I can look at this a little bit, his criteria, he used 737 observations, utilizing the following data: 294 records from Schaefer, 6 records from Jim Stam, 42 records from the SAAO, and 15 records from Mohsen and Mir Saeed, 30 records from Ali Reza, and 323 records from ICOP. And this is how the data was spread. Key point I want to draw your attention to: observation record number 389, 455, and 274, in which the crescent was visible by unassisted eye in area C. Area C is visible with optical aid only. Okay, visible with optical aid only. However, there are 3 data points in which the crescent was visible by unassisted eye, even though generally speaking, you will need an assisted eye. Again, look at the ages of the moon: 23, 16.8, 15.5. Look at the lag time: 34, 36, 39. Lag time is the time between sunset and moonset. And this is the angle there that's of importance, because below 7 is the Danjon limit. Right? That's a very 274 is a very young moon. Okay, but there's categorically been accepted. It wasn't an outlier. It wasn't removed due to error. It has been kept as a valid data point. Now, again, I'm not going to go into too much about the Gaussian distribution with regards to data. Okay, this is why people, ulama included, should not speak when they do not know what they're talking about. It's so wrong. I've seen it, unfortunately, on some WhatsApp groups where ulama are speaking when they do not know what they're talking about. They know nothing about data analysis. They know nothing about, moon sighting. They know nothing about, scientific assessment, and they're making statements. Oh, this is wrong. That's wrong. What are you talking about? A Gaussian distribution means that you can have some exception. So let's just say the average height of a man is 5'9" or 5'10", yeah? But men can be 4'6", and men could be 7'2". You cannot say, oh, that 7'2" is not a man, and that 4'6" is not a man, because a man should be 5'10". Ridiculous. Okay, that's ridiculous, because men they generally speaking, most men will fit between 5'4", 5'5", and 6 foot. Most men, but that doesn't mean that all men will be in that space. Okay, doesn't mean that all men will be in there, and you cannot exclude a 7-foot man saying, "Ah, well, you're not a man, because men should be between 5'4" and 6 foot, and you're 7 foot, so we're going to exclude you, or we're going to exclude you because you're 4'3", so you're not a man." What it means is there will be some at 4'3" and there will be some at 7 foot, but generally speaking, 70%, 75% of your data is going to be between that 5'4" and 6 foot, and that's exactly what we're saying here. That there will be a very small number of data points that will be outside of what we consider to be normal. Okay, so we had 118 data points visible with optical aid only, but out of the 118, 3, okay, were visible without optical aid, even though it says this will be visible only with optical aid. So that's only 3 out of 118, which is about 2.9%, which is about right. If I says to you, how many men are 4'3", you wouldn't say 10% of men are 4'3", or 50% of men are. You might say about 5% of men are 4'3", but they're still men. But the chances of you running into a 4'3" man are pretty slim compared to the chance of you running into a 5'7" or 5'8" man. Okay, because there's a higher probability, and that's what this is, probability. But when you're explaining probability to folk that don't understand what probability is, it's a bit of a problem, isn't it? Anyway, so the angular separation. Oh yes, it disappeared again. So I think it lasts for a couple of minutes. So then we've got the angular separation. I'm not going to read all these out to you. This document is available on WIFAC's website. Okay, one last attempt. I say that, but I'm going to attempt it again. The lag time that I mentioned to you, okay, and it gives you some figures. A 13-hour age moon generally does not have enough angular separation. All right, elongation, we talked about that. The moon age, we spoke about that. So these were recommendations that I made after all of this research. And this research was done over several months. We said it would make more sense to devise our own criteria, taking into consideration the year. Hence, the following is proposed. Moon set before sunset, this is impossible. The witness should be rejected. In Afghanistan, when a declaration was made, the declaration was made when the moon set before the sunset. Right? If the moon has set before the sunset, it is impossible for you to see the hilal. It's already set. So you cannot consider it. So you would have to reject it. And if people say, well, why? Well, do you pray Maghrib before the sun sets? And if you don't pray Maghrib before the sun sets, then why don't you pray before the sun sets? And how do you know when it's Maghrib? And you will say, well, I know it's Maghrib because I go to the HMNAO website. Ah, well, surprise, surprise. That's the same organization that tells us where the moon set is. So if we can accept sunset, why can't we accept moonset? Because the sun is bigger. Okay. Then we have this area, which is moonset after sunset, but is below what I've called imkani ru'ya. This is highly improbable. So witnesses should be thoroughly interrogated. And unfortunately, we get many of our Saudi sightings in this region. Okay. And if, unless we get it from a large group of people, which is supported by other countries, then it should be rejected. That's the reason why the Saudi's statement gets rejected. After Imkani Ru'ya, it is possible. How are we going to define Imkani Ru'ya? The elongation has to be a minimum of 10. Minutes above the horizon has to be a minimum of 30 minutes. And the age of the moon minimum has to be 16 hours. Now, I hear you say, what was the Moroccan hilal? So I have that. Just give me 1 second. So in terms of the Moroccan hilal, the elongation was greater than 10. So it meets the elongation. The minutes above the horizon was 44 minutes. So it was 44 minutes. This is 30 minutes. So it meets that. The age of the moon was 17.5 hours. So minimum is 16 hours. Therefore, according to the scientific understanding, that Imkani Ru'ya is there. Then if we look at Morocco's history, Morocco has a very fail-safe system in place and has had for many decades. So anybody who's sharing misinformation is exactly that. They do not know what they're talking about. This is the rest of it is in Urdu, if you can't read English. And this is, like I said, available. I'll see if I can get you the link. Let me see if I can get you the link. Let me stop sharing. Okay, I don't know if I can stop sharing. I think I can't stop sharing. And it should be on this website here. Okay, let me see if I can open that website. And let me see if I can share my... I'm getting too clever for my own self now, can't I? Stop share. Let me see if I can share. Subhanallah. I'm getting too good at this. Now you should be able to see the website. Can you see the website? Yeah, WhatsApp me if you can see the website. Yeah, nobody's WhatsApp me. And there you get the criteria. And there, it's got it here. The study is summarized here. I think that's where it is. No, it's there. It's there. I can see it. It's there. No. They're not looking. It's there. I've got it. I can see it. Or you can see it. Or you can see it. Or you can see it. Yeah. So this is where it is. And it says direct PDF doc link. Look, man. You're going blind. Why is it a blank page? Might be your internet. There you go. Okay, so that's where it is. Anyway, you got the criteria. That's all the questions answered. If we don't have any more burning questions, so that deals with the issue. Okay, so rest assured, everything is checked properly and thoroughly, and everything is according to sound practice, and everything is assessed in a sound practice. Okay, so where you're seeing that, that's where it says direct PDF doc link. That's the one. I wonder if I can copy the link. Copy link address. All right, let me bring that back here and paste that here. There it is. Okay, you've got the document there. So download that document, the one I've been sharing with you, and that gives you the full breakdown. And I've given the link there. So that will hopefully put to rest any fearmongers out there, any unfortunate half-wits who don't really understand what they're supposed to be doing, sharing things, scaremongering, got nothing better to do but sit on WhatsApp all day and send messages around. You know, if you want to know, learn. If you want to understand, then go to the sources. That has been on our website, like I said, for 8 years. Has anybody read it? That I do not know. But it's been there for 8 years, and people can read it and understand it, and they know exactly what the process is. And that's how, alhamdulillah, clear it is. Unfortunately, not everybody has that approach. Okay, with that said, I can bring it to a close, inshallah, as there are no more questions coming in. Maghrib has come upon us here, so I can then start praying my Maghrib as well. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.